Now, the Labor leader, Anthony Albanese, was exposed to questions on the Kimberley Kitching affair at a press conference today, and it was messy. First off, this repeated denial.
No complaints were made by Kimberley Kitching. My door is open to everyone.
This argument, whether it hinges on the lack of a formal complaint or lack of paperwork or something, it just won't stick. We know Kitching sought out meetings with the Deputy Leader of Labor in Parliament, Richard Marles. We know that while the so-called mean girl senators deny any bullying, Penny Wong claims to have apologised to Kitching over a cruel barb. We know about a draft letter Kitching wrote to detail the issues before a meeting with Christina Keneally, and we've read a harrowing account from Kitching's friend Diana Asmar, a Labor member and a union leader. On top of all that, we've heard about Kitching's trauma from her colleagues and her husband.
The simple truth of it is that Kimberley's political and moral judgment was vastly superior to the small number who opposed her internally. And of course, there's a lot I could say about the unpleasantness of a cantankerous cabal, not all of them in Parliament, that was aimed at Kimber. And the intensity of it did baffle and hurt her. But I hope it's sufficient to say she deserves so very much better.
Look, so it's no good for Albo to get into some tortured form of semantics to pretend there was no complaint. For more than a year, Albanese and all of his Labor colleagues and his media barrackers, they've been screaming about inquiries, about the rights of women in Parliament, about a toxic culture, and about making complaints easier and taking complaints seriously. In order to kill Christian Porter's career, Labor was prepared to take a complaint that had been withdrawn about events from more than 30 years ago and reanimate it from beyond the grave, overturning the wishes of the deceased in order to demand an inquiry. But now, people just ask Albanese to respect a deceased colleague's trauma that was unfolding this month and inquire into her treatment. Instead, Albanese wants to pretend there's just nothing to be at all concerned about.
There were two people in the meeting, Richard Marles and Kimberley Kitching. Richard Marles has said to me subsequently, in recent times, that was what he said publicly yesterday. That was about her position on the Tactics Committee. That was it. I had no conversation with him at the time about any of that detail.
How convenient. He says there was hardly anything to it and nobody told him anyway. And how about this callousness?
If people think that you can have an inquiry into someone, whether someone's on the Tactics Committee or not, it just seems to me to be, quite an extraordinary suggestion. They have been answered.
Really, how disingenuous, pretending it's an inquiry into whether someone was on a committee or not. Really? Claims a Labor senator was ostracised, bullied and traumatised into an early grave. One of Albanese's own colleagues, and he wants to dismiss it as that narrow, that insignificance. Mr Albanese, that is why you have an inquiry. Others say differently. There is evidence that there was more to this, and the idea is to find out, not to cover up. Remember, that's exactly what you've been saying on these issues repeatedly and stridently for well over a year, demanding inquiries, claiming cover-ups. No wonder the opposition leader is suddenly looking a little lost and looking for help.
I don't believe in the caucus can say they've asked for a meeting with me and haven't got it, or they've made a phone call and it hasn't been returned.
Why did she fear losing pre-selection? Sorry.
I just wanted to add a couple of things from a personal point of view. Obviously, this has been a very difficult time for the Labor Party as we mourn the loss of Kimberley Kitching, but there are some things I think which need to be said about the current debate. Firstly, as Albo said, there is a cut and thrust in politics. I've been on and off the tactics committee. I've been on and off the front bench, as Ed has. And these things are part and parcel of a robust life in politics.
Good of Chris Bowen to step in and help out there. But it seems one man's robust life in politics can be another woman's political torture. Questions and revelations on all this are bound to continue.